council. Okay. Let's stand. If you're here, there, do the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Patrick, you will.
Sure thing. Aleppo, Avalon. I know Roberta's here, so we'll markers yes. Bell Acres, Bellevue,
Here.
Ben Avon,
Here.
Edgeworth, Emsworth,
Here.
Glen Osborne,
Here.
Glenfield, Hayesville. Oak Marie's here. Kilbuck,
Here.
Leetsdale. Maria just joined. Sewickley,
Here.
Sewickley Heights. That's a quote.
Right. It's always nice to have a form.
We're at 9.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the May 22nd meeting minutes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the May 22nd meeting minutes. This is Roberta, and thank you for marking me present.
Second. Maria Napolitano seconded.
Patrick, is there any way we could see everybody that is here?
Yeah, I mean, so it'll just pop up when people talk, but
Okay,
Amanda also joined from Hayesville, so we're up to 10. So
nice. Great.
right around where we're always at. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the May financial reports, the unpaid bill, and the payroll summary. I hope everybody has had a chance to look at that in our packet. This time I'll take a motion. Okay, guys.
How much?
I need a second.
Second from Abby Emsworth.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand on Zoom.
Aye.
I abstained from the first one as well. I did not get a chance to read the packet.
Okay.
Okay. The president's report. I would like to report on, a mayor's and president's breakfast that we had that encompassed most of the Quaker Valley, was the Quaker Valley community, and brought up the question of emergency management. And everybody in the room there, which were the boroughs of, in the Quaker Valley region, were working or intended to work on an emergency plan. But what was nice was to listen to everybody talk about their plans and bring different points of view forward for the plans. I mean, I personally think this is important. Some people were surprised in our emergency plan that we need to train the council members or the commissioners in the emergency, because as always, it's always the first 10 minutes where things make a difference, I think. Also, if we shared resources or knew where resources were, would make a better, a plan, a better emergency plan, in my opinion. And, but it was interesting to see that evidently people are working on it, people are concerned about it. And that is my.
Very good. Let's see, next up, we have our Route 65 update. So we're gonna spend a pretty big chunk of the meeting talking about Route 65, but I'll just highlight real quick. The Route 65 committee did meet on May 24th. We went over the intergovernmental agreement that we're gonna go over together here in, probably about a half hour or so. And the group, the Route 65 committee, will probably be getting together in the next few weeks to go over a game plan about how we're going to get every community to evaluate this agreement after it's reviewed by the board here and go from there. But that meeting's to be determined. But yeah, the committee's been busy, and really excited for you guys to take a look at that agreement shortly.
Right. Mhm. Okay, moving on. We do go through the first few numbers of the agenda fairly quickly. Uh, Emergency Preparedness Committee update.
Yeah, so the most recent meeting, June 16th, we got together on Zoom. Really focused on taking a look at each of the three communities that are in the group, Hayesville, Glenfield, and Glen Osborne's emergency management plan. We also went over a couple different subcommittees that exist in Allegheny County's emergency management level. And there was a few questions about that that the group went over. Amanda, is there anything that you wanted to highlight, or Paul, anything that you wanted to highlight from our last meeting for the group?
Just we're getting together an outline almost, probably like you said, right?
Yeah.
See what type of shared resources out there available for each municipality. So that's what.
I mean, it seems to me, not in our three communities, but that Aleppo Swiftly is a little bit ahead of us on our EOP and fairness. I mean, the contact thing as we go.
And I just want to say that the resources that was provided at the last meeting, and being able to review the other boroughs' preliminary or in place emergency plans I felt were very extremely helpful, and Hayesville is currently using them to implement and update and revise our own as well, so that it's proving to be very helpful already, with helping us establish that. It's still a work in progress, but I think we're at least making progress.
Yeah, very good. With the next two items, I don't want to ramble on here with our guests on the call. So we do have our auditing firm, two members from Case Sabatini on the call. If we wanted to jump to new business real quick and kind of go backwards to the grant report and the executive director's report.
That seems like a good and logical idea.
So real quick, let me allow you guys, if you had a presentation or if you want to share your screen, you should be able to now. But again, just to reiterate, Scott Grant and Eric Spann from Case Sabatini are on the call. They wrapped up our 2022 annual financial audit about a month ago now. And just wanted them to have the ability to go over some of the highlights of the audit, where our financial reports stand, and what their thoughts on the overall situation for the COG is. With that being said, go ahead, guys, take over.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Eric Spann talking. Last year would have been the first year that I was able to meet all of you. This year, Scott Grant, who also works with me on the audit, is here. I don't know if everyone was able to get a copy of the 2023 financial statements ahead of the meeting.
That was included in the meeting packet. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything really important to share on the screen. I just wanted to go over a couple highlights. You would have noticed then total net position in the COG since 2022 increased about $62,000, of which that increase about $18,000 is reserved for recycling. So that's good as far as future looking for the COG's ability to take on projects. Is a very good sign for the COG. You'll see the CDBG revenues in 2023 compared to 2022. In 2023, it was about $98,000 in CDBG projects. The 2022 revenues for that was over $265,000. That's just a function of what projects are going through CDBG and what aren't. This year is a little bit of an anomaly because a lot of the work that was done with the COG, the only thing financially wise that you would see in these 2023 statements are the small administrative fee that the COG gets to administer the grants. And many of those are the gaming grants, which is why Patrick and I wanted to highlight them on page 9 in the management and discussion and analysis, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gaming grants that were in process during 2023 but we had not started to get the gaming money in. So in 2024, in the financials, you're going to see much more activity as far as incoming grant revenues and outgoing grant expenditures. So those aren't reflected yet. In fact, today I'm working on the grant audit for Ben Evans Borough Building as we speak. So those will be reflected in the COG's financial statements in 2024. You don't see them in 2023 yet because in the example of that grant audit, those funds didn't come in from GDTF until February of 2024. So they'll be reflected in next year's statements. So wanted to just highlight that because there's a lot of activity going on that just because of the timing difference, it's not yet captured in the financial statements of the COG. I just wanted to highlight one item that may look a little bit odd. If you looked at the balance sheet, the governmental funds balance sheet on page 13, I just wanted to explain how we account for the money that comes in and out of CDBG. So if you happen to have the page open in front of you, the CDBG fund column, you're going to see a receivable due from other governments. That's money the CDBG fund is owed from CDBG as of December 31st. What ended up happening was the general fund paid those expenses. So technically the CDBG fund owes the general fund that money when it's received. So then on the CDBG fund, you see a liability due to other funds. And then if you go in the general fund, you see an identical receivable due from other funds. So how that will work, the money will come in, the receivable on CDBG will be relieved, the payable will be relieved because the general fund will get reimbursed for that money. It's just odd when you see the funds categorized next to each other and you see receivables and payables due from the funds. I just wanted to make it sure that it was clear, how did these arise so that they don't look odd to anyone. So I just want to point that out. As far as any new accounting pronouncements that would impact the COG, we have some listed, which we're required to list on pages 24 and 25. To be honest, we don't see any new government accounting standards that are in the pipeline to become, applicable guidance in the future that we see that would significantly impact the financial statements of the COG as compared to how you're used to seeing them. So I really did not have anything to highlight over there. And then, bear with me one moment here. Year over year, we did have a small decrease in the amount of revenues the COG got from RAD, but that's a function of what they give us, what they allocate us in any given year. So, but the other revenues of the COG were more than sufficient to offset that small reduction in RAD. So that's kind of a little bit of a variable there. So, but financial statement wise, I didn't have anything more that I wanted to highlight. I didn't know if anyone had any questions on the statements. Or Scott, if you had anything to add. No.
I don't have anything to add. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add.
Just real quick, this is always a good practice to have an annual audit, but the main reason that we participate with these audits is our CDBG requirements. So these audit evaluations and reports are signed off and then relayed over to Allegheny County Economic Development and filed with them. That's where this sort of all emanates from. But again, it's also a very good practice for any nonprofit or governmental organization to participate. So that's really the driving force. And as Eric alluded to, we'll be seeing a lot of each other because we have a lot of gaming grants. And the component of that gaming grant money is each one of those projects is individually audited. While, with CD money, it's just the whole year. for all the projects with the gaming money, each of those projects has an
Oh my
individual
goodness.
audit. So I don't know how many we'll have next year, but there'll be probably at least 2 or 3 that are finished up by then. Yeah, it'll be a good time. Any other thoughts that you guys had for the board?
No, no, sir. I didn't have anything else other than I hope everyone stays cool.
I second that. Well, thank you very much.
Patrick.
Oh, go ahead.
Patrick, may I ask a question, please? Maria Napolitano, lead still.
Sure.
What is the cost of an audit to this organization, to QVCOG? And just out of pure curiosity, does the cost of an audit depend linearly or in any other way on like the budget, the size of organization, and etc.? Like, I guess trying to, just for personal knowledge, if you compare auditing a nonprofit versus auditing the borough, what would be the order of magnitude of cost comparison?
Yeah, so I can answer the first part, and then I'll leave Eric and Scott to sort of maybe highlight how different audits are captured price-wise. Ours was like a tick over $3,500 for our 2022 audit, and I highlight that is reimbursed in the back end through our CDBG allocation. So we pay for it out of pocket, and then throughout the year we apply for reimbursements for bills, for my payroll, things like that, and that
That's
gets
pretty cool.
So in the end, like, it really doesn't cost us anything, but it's like, you know, I take over $3,500 for this past year. Eric and Scott, did you want to highlight, you know, how that is calculated and how the difference between nonprofits and governments maybe works?
Maybe one good way to look at it is almost like any kind of cost. There's a fixed component to it. There's certain procedures for an audit we have to do, whether you're like the littlest organization you can think of or a really huge one. But then there's a variable cost where you can almost look at it like economies of scale. Like when you get bigger, we can do a procedure and it's going to go across wide sections of your organization. So it's just going to add some cost, but it may not be like, you might think I'm 10 times bigger, I should be charged 10 times more. Not necessarily, you know, because the procedures we're doing will cover a lot more. So it may not be as much as you would think based on like what this one is, for example. If you looked at your individual boroughs or other organizations, similar size.
That's
And,
pretty clear. Thank you very much.
You want to add anything, Eric, or?
Oh, yeah, as far as nonprofits go, if it was like an audit of an entire borough, there's much more activity that goes on than would be here with the COG. And we do get a lot of economies of scale when we do a COG audit also, because for example, with the gaming monies that come in, when we're already auditing the grant activity, when we go to put the financial statements together for the COG, there's certain large chunks of the revenue expenditure activity that we've already looked at because of the gaming audit. And a lot of times when those gaming audits are done, they allocate part of that total grant to cover the audit. So there's some economies there. And also it would depend on the size of the COG. Quaker is large in the number of municipalities that participate in it, but there could be other activities going on, like agency fund activities where there's a lot of services that are being done in addition to the CDBG maintenance, in addition to what Patrick does too. Every time more and more wrinkles would occur to the organization, that would complicate the audit just because of the number of transactions, if that makes sense.
Thank you very much. Very comprehensive. Thanks for all the information.
You're very welcome.
Anybody else? Hearing nobody else, I'd like to thank you for coming on the call tonight. And as always, you've been very educational as to what we're doing. Thank you.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. And we appreciate the continued business from the club. Thank you.
All right, so let's revert back to the grant
Grant.
status report. And I'll go ahead and pull up the meeting packet here. Just to kind of go over it. So we're gonna speed look through. And I do want to highlight, we have 3 different projects that are out to bid as we speak. So a lot going on between CD money and gaming money right now. Well, 2 projects are live. One for Glen Osborne's going out on June 27th. So by the time we get together next time, 2 should be opened and 1 will be live. But a lot going on here. Again, this report is really for you guys to see what's going on in your communities. And when you see the same thing kind of over and over again, that's sort of a nudge, like, hey, there might be something that's held up with their engineers, or maybe something hanging around paperwork wise on our end. And if you see that, please ask those questions, see where you're at. But there's a lot going on. Really happy. This project here, the streetscape for Bellevue, that this is a project that really started, well, it started like 5 years ago, but it's been a lingering thing since I was first hired, just about 3 years ago, and it's finally out to bid. So we're gonna see some movement on that end. The bids will be open on July 8th, so really happy about that. Swickley Borough has a sidewalk project that was put out to bid, and that's underway as we speak here. So again, great to see that. A couple different projects in Leedsdale for CD 49 that are close to getting started. Another big project, this is the first one I've worked on like this, replacement of water lines. This was put out to bid on behalf of the Swickley Water Authority, and it's going to benefit residents of Glen Osborne Borough and Hayesville Borough. So 2 municipalities at once. We're still waiting on the notice to proceed from Allegheny County before the contractor can get started, but basically it's shovel ready, it's ready to roll. So we'll be seeing some work done across the tracks there. But yeah, some really great projects. Lee Township has a park improvement project that was put out to bid. The township just awarded that to El Grande. That's almost $300,000 being spent on playground equipment, things like that in the township. So great stuff. Really excited, really proud of where we're at here. And again, if you ever have any questions about, what specific projects are going on in your communities, please reach out, let me know, and we'll give you a summary on it.
Right. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the executive director's report.
Sure thing. So real quick, hard to recycle event. Just a reminder, that's coming up. It's going to be next month. It's hard to believe it's coming up so quick already, July 27th. It's going to be right across the tracks here in Leedsdale at the industrial park, from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So it's a registration-based event. In the past, like 5-6 years ago, you could just show up with your TVs or tires or whatever and queue up, and they take them for you for a fee. In order to participate, you have to register. That's how they're able to coordinate everything and sort of stop those pileups all at once. Everyone wants to get rid of their TV at once at 9 o'clock, right? So they spread everybody out with different time slots. You actually pay for everything before you even show up. That way it's just seamless. They tell you where to go, and they take the stuff out of your car and off you go. So again, the 27th, the address is here in the report, prc.org if you want to register. So all the information's on our website too. But linked to that, a big thing they're looking for is volunteers for the event. So I'll definitely be volunteering there, but anyone else that might be interested, please let me know. In the past, they've been able to work with the high school to get like football players or whoever is looking for volunteer hours in the district. Looks like that's fallen through this year. There was nobody available from the whoever they were working with at Quaker Valley High School before. So they're looking for like 10 people. So anyone that's interested, you get an opportunity to get rid of $60 worth of stuff for free. And it's spend 2 or 3 hours. It's a great way to meet people, and it's pretty cool how they do everything. It's really eye-opening to see how many people have TVs still, like those old-fashioned tube TVs. It's like 500 cars come through, and it seems like at least one of every 2 cars has one of those TVs. So again, so a really good way to get rid of things sustainably. All this stuff gets broken down, and these parts and materials get used for other stuff throughout the world. So anyone that's interested in volunteering, please let me know. I will skip over that. And the last thing, so the International City Management Association, ICMA, is coming to Pittsburgh this year. So this is a big deal. This bounces around the country. Last year it was in Portland, the year before that, might have been Nashville. They basically go on, it's a big showcase for whoever hosts the city, right? So it's gonna be here from September 21st through the 25th. So highly recommend, if you've never attended one of these conferences or just want to check it out. The registration information is on icma.org. There's a discount period from June 12th to August 14th. So I registered for it. This will be my second ICMA conference, first since 2019, but it's a really great way for the city to display itself. Plus you get to meet people that are doing what you do across the country, right? And across the world, really.
Is it just for managers?
No,
No.
elected officials, managers, yeah, anyone that's in municipal governments, cities, big, small, everything in between. This is kind of the showcase for that line of work, if you will. So it's a really big deal. It's the first time it's been in Pittsburgh for like 20 years. So,
Wow, so it's 4 days long, so are you, like, what would you attend or what would you recommend
like,
do?
so there's all sorts of different tiers and day passes. I get it like, because I haven't worked in the, local government for, it's like less than 10 years, you get like half off. It's like $500 for the whole pass. So
Okay,
there's all sorts of different like tiers and you just register through ICMA. There's day passes if you just want to go for one day, maybe there's a certain set of classes that you see. And there's like dozens of classes every day.
Right.
So like ALOM is a very small localized thing where there might be two options. Like, okay, at 8 o'clock, you have the option for this or that. This is totally different. There's gonna be like 12 or 13 different classes every time slot,
Mhm.
ranging from everything.
Mhm.
Police
This
to
is
zoning to
national.
garbage. Yeah,
Yeah.
so. Highly recommend if you're interested, check it out, icma.org. We'll have a roster of the classes that are available, the educational opportunities. They have all sorts of things. Again, this is, some of the things that are offered might not be really interesting to us because we're from here, but there's a lot of, people are traveling from across the country. There's like Pittsburgh centric things and tours and museum tours that they're gonna offer at a discounted rate and a good way to just meet people and interact with people in the business. But yeah, so Sunday, I believe is really when it kicks off, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the meat of the classes, so. Any other questions on the report?
How long has this been going on?
Well, it's at least over 20 years, because again, this came, I think it was in 2003, it was in Pittsburgh, or 2004 the last time. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big deal,
Yeah,
really good for the region.
well, thank you for highlighting
Yeah,
that in the report, because I have to admit, I've never heard of it before.
I heard of ICMA, but I had no idea the conference was happening.
Yeah. Okay. Next on our agenda is the intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah, let's just speed through the old audit report here. And again, that's included in the meeting packet. If anyone has any questions on an audit, please let me know. We'll be happy to answer those questions. As you can see, that was like half the packet was staff report. We'll get there eventually. Here we go. Okay, so just to recap real quick. So back in April 17th, the board unanimously voted to direct our solicitor, Matthew Rakunas, to develop an intergovernmental agreement for the continued evaluation of Route 65. So again, the COG's been working on various studies and various analysis of the boulevard for probably almost 10 years now. But there's nothing really concrete that's been formalized as far as an agreement or a pact. And I think a big hurdle to apply for grants moving forward would be the lack of that. So the idea is we put together some language, and it's only like 2 pages. I'm going to go over here with everyone now. But the idea is to put something, flexible, but something everyone can agree that, hey, there's a handful of things about Route 65 that we can all agree upon. And we all agree that we should continue to work towards a better Route 65. So that document, if approved, would go towards each council, each board for approval. They sign on to it. And then in the future, when we apply for planning grants or actual infrastructure grants way down the road, we have something that says, hey, we as 15 communities agree that we're on board with this. So there's no financial obligation now. There's nothing that any community needs to do other than, agree that these general things are important and that we want to work together. And that's sort of the background to it. So, as I alluded to earlier, on May 24th, the Route 65 committee took a look at this document that we'll go over, had a few edits that went back to the solicitor with those edits. He gave the green light. And with that being said, let's get rolling here. So, this cooperative agreement is by and between the municipal members of the Quaker Valley Council of Government, QVCOG, hereinafter referred to as the municipalities, and shall be effective upon the execution by the municipalities. Whereas the parties wish to cooperate in initiating and authorizing actions to identify and make improvements to Route 65 corridor, hereinafter the project. Whereas the project will encompass the Route 65 corridor, which has a direct and or indirect impact on all the residents and business owners who inhabit each of the municipalities. Whereas the municipalities support the reimagining of the Route 65 corridor in order to improve safety, placemaking, and connectivity. Whereas the municipalities are cognizant that there may be financial, time, and other obligations that need to be required in undertaking the carrying out of this project. And whereas a cooperation agreement between municipalities is necessary to join the parties together in this intergovernmental effort. Now, therefore, in consideration of the mutual covenants herein contained and the benefits to accrue to the parties, it is hereby agreed by and among the municipalities as follows. 1. The municipalities agree to engage in the following. A. Build upon previous in-depth studies and public engagement efforts, including the Route 65 Strategic Design Guide, which was the document that was prepared a couple years back, in preparation of a comprehensive plan for Route 65 that embodies each community's goals. B. Assist in identifying outside supporters who, along with the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission and other potential strategic partners that can help leverage funding mechanisms to implement change to the Route 65 corridor. C. Partner with the transportation providers such as Pittsburgh Regional Transit, Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, Beaver County Transit Authority, and Norfolk Southern to facilitate implementation within the Route 65 corridor. And D. Establish a working commission of community representatives along the Route 65 corridor in order to assist the project's implementation. 2. The municipality agrees to consider any and all things necessary and appropriate to effectuate the carrying out of the project. This cooperation agreement may be amended from time to time by mutual agreement of parties hereto. And witness whereof the parties hereto, intending by legally bound, have executed this agreement effected upon execution by all parties. Just like everyone talks like in real life, right?
Whereas.
Whereas, yeah. So again, each community will be sent this document. But before that, we as a board, would need to approve it before that step takes place. So, in addition to this document, the municipalities are provided with like a sample resolution to sort of help you out a little. That way you don't have to worry about crafting like a resolution about this from scratch. You can use it, you don't need to use it. It's just sort of a step. Because Matthew Recrunis is a solicitor for Bellevue, which is one of our communities that he took a proactive step. He's like, hey, I'll probably need to make this. So if anyone else wants to use this template, they can. But again, this document, if approved, would be sent out to the individual towns along with that sample resolution. A little background each manager. Now I'll be sending them individually each manager. And hopefully, in the next month or two, whenever these come before your individual councils and boards, you guys could be the champions too and say, hey, this is something that the board has considered. This is some of the background. We're hoping that you guys can do a little bit of that lift on our behalf as members of the board here. And again, I'll provide as much detail as I can to each individual manager. That way they can put this material in the packet and it's all there. There's any questions, again, we'd be happy to help out with, but I'm going to try to just be as proactive and here's everything that we have and here's all the explanations on why we did it. That way, the boards aren't.
And
We have
also
stuff.
why we need this in order to proceed.
Mhm.
It's very important to have an intergovernmental agreement. It's a statement of interest. As with anything like this, a committee or a commission will be formed to work on a plan. This is out of what we did with remaking cities, I don't know, many years ago. But, so instead of putting that book on the shelf, it's actually moving forward. As we all know, government moves forward slowly. But it is moving forward, and this is our next step, which we need to, in order to succeed. So finally, something could be done with the boulevard, then we all agree it's not safe. We don't like to travel. But there's things one could do to it to make it safer, and especially when PennDOT's gonna come through. You know, with a commission, they are more likely to listen to you. They are also more likely, we are more likely to get grants because the communities are all interested. And really, this is a statement of interest.
Yeah, and as Barbara alluded to, I think this is a huge asset for us when we do apply for grants. Something that formalizes that this is something that the communities that we represent really want, you know, something done and have buy-in. Because right now there's nothing like when we see these federal grants and state grants, you know, they usually require some sort of cooperation agreement. And right now we don't have one. You know,
Right.
we can point to the formal studies that were done. That's not an agreement. That's just.
I get why you're doing this. I guess I'm interested in the fact that just because, just saying, going into those grants or apply for grants as the QVCOG is not a way, that's not an option.
I mean, it's always an option. I just think it's not as competitive as something that's formalized that says, you know, this specific journey, this specific opportunity planning wise for our boulevard was agreed upon with this agreement on XYZ date.
And really, this is a huge project going forward.
No, I get that. It's the
Yeah.
formality between, hey, we're part of a cog. And the formality is one more time. That's fine. I was kind of just curious of the difference.
Sure.
I think the formality reflects the level of seriousness. Because other COGs could say it, but this requires the work for all of us to consider it as individual councils. And the work that we put in to even make terms that we agree on. And I think what that does is it is influential when we want to take it to state representatives or federal, our congressmen, and ask them for funding. And actually, like, they're pretty responsive, and I think that if we have this, it just shows that we are willing to put in effort into this project. More so than just like Patrick saying it on behalf of all of us.
Right. And even applying for grants, the more you have cooperating, the better your choice.
Oh, yeah, you will get much more visibility if it's a regional project than if it's just an individual municipality. So this just gives us like a stronger voice.
So then my question would be then, we're doing this for the QVCOG. I know when we did the earlier projects, we also coordinated with the Beaver County COG and those. Is there any thought of doing, a joint one with them as well to change it from our number of municipalities are there? Or, that's my
Right.
point.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the goal, and to sort of even give a little more background to that too. So over the last month, I met twice with the Manchester City Corporation. So it's a community activist group that represents the Manchester Chateau neighborhoods of Pittsburgh. They got about $1.5 million in grant money from the federal government through the Reconnecting Communities program. And as you guys know, that's like basically where Route 65 starts. And the idea of that grant they got for the planning phases of this is Route 65 starts a bridge. There's a giant wall that it separates those two communities, right? So they reached out and they're like, hey, we're going like full speed ahead with another round of funding outside of the planning to like make this
Happen.
yes,
Yeah.
over the next however many years that takes. And they were really open to putting letters of support on behalf of us when the time comes to apply for grants through us, be a partner, because Route 65 starts there, but everything that happens there is impacted by everything that happens with us and vice versa. So
Right.
absolutely, I think down the road, we'll want to work with our partners in Beaver County and the city of Pittsburgh. But right now, this is like, I can only focus on.
That's why, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is huge. I mean,
Yeah.
this has been our next step that we've been anticipating for years. So for us to do this, and if there's any hesitation from anyone here tonight or on any of the councils, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to share like a little, points sheet of like how you could present it to your council. Because really, it's not anything more than what Barbara said as an agreement to work together, and it's not involving any money. That may be requested in the future and would be a different consideration at that time. But now, this is just to say it's important to us, and to attract more attention to it.
And I think it's our chance to be proactive rather than reactive to what comes through our communities and we go, what? Or why?
When every time you see an accident on 65, don't you think about this? Like,
Yes,
I think
I do.
about it every time,
I
like,
do.
let's get that.
Or
thing
when I
done.
travel it,
Yeah,
but, we've known for years and years and years that it's dangerous. It's not safe. And this is a chance for us to have a voice. And there's also neighborhoods we would like to keep, stores. I mean, there is a way in that plan to make it a
Mhm.
lot safer.
Yeah.
And still keep the flavor. And I think because it is a boulevard, that kind of sets it out different than a route in my mind. Because it does go through communities, unless it does. Eventually. or-
so could I make a motion now and then there'd be discussion after the?
Sure.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that, the board tonight votes on adopting this intergovernmental cooperative agreement to take to our individual municipalities and ask our councils to, consider resolution.
I'd like to second it. Any discussion?
I do have a question, Maria Napolitano Leedsdale. And to preface, I personally am in great favor. And in general, for this types of initiatives and this particular project. And I think, but again, I'll have to present it to the fellow council members. So one thing, it was pretty clear that at this time, financial commitment is not required. There was a part in the agreement, as I heard it read, and I apologize if I misheard it or I didn't read it ahead of time, but it's something about something being necessary and sufficient participation. And so that's the part that I would like to a little bit clarified at this time, because like this is the kind of thing lawyers typically really like to quantify as to, there you go, there it is. Oh, necessary, that's fine. But where is it, there's something about sufficient?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in, and we soften the language in that part too. It's there that says the municipalities agree to consider.
There you go, and necessary and appropriate. Okay, like this. This is really big, but it's also not quantified. So I think I might get questions from my fellow council members and from a board official, like exactly what's included. And it's not that we would not commit, but it honestly, like it would be more a question of if people balk at a certain thing and then does this agreement bind us to uphold it? See what I mean? Any clarification on this at this time?
The language is strong in that,
It is.
and we softened the language in this, already. But I think the basic, the spirit of the statement is saying that we may ask councils to consider. We may ask councils to consider.
Oh, okay.
I think that's really what it is. I mean, any and all.
So it doesn't bind us to some undefined future action that all of a sudden everybody decides is necessary for this to proceed, right? That's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
that's
key
correct.
word there is consider, right?
Yes.
So the-
okay,
the-
okay, cool.
Is, any and all things necessary, but it's the consideration. It's
Yes.
not the commitment.
Got it. Okay, thank you for clarifying this. This is great.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Then we can vote. There's a motion on the floor that's been seconded. All of those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Got it.
All right, so yeah, I'll follow up with sometime probably either at the end of this week or early next week. Just with a brief summary of like what all this is, what the board considered, obviously the agreement from tonight, and that sample resolution to each one of the borough managers and secretaries, township managers and secretaries. And we just start this train. It's not going to be fast. Some towns might get us to it in 30 days. Some towns might not get it to us for 2 or 3 months. That's okay. The key is I'm here for any questions. Julie, Barbara, any members of the committee, please ask us those questions should they arise in those individual meetings. And we'll be happy to help you.
And
answer those questions.
we would be happy if you could attend the meeting. if you would.
Correct, yeah, we were talking about this at the committee level, about just letting councils approve this and see who approves it. And for those that don't approve it or don't take it up, then we maybe would attend the meeting to answer any questions and to help explain background or whatever would be necessary to make people feel more comfortable. So if you want us to do that, then Barbara and I will try to make ourselves available for that. Just let us know.
Okay, next is approval of the 2022 Section 904 recycling performance grant.
So the intergovernmental or reception dinner first, right?
Oh. Yes, it is first.
So real quick, just a reminder, everybody. Let me pull up the. So we are set to have. Oh, here's that resolution. So it's in the packet too. So just a reminder, we're going to be changing up the annual dinner this year. So in the past, it was always at the end of the fall, sort of that timeline. We're going to be shifting it to August this year, August 29th, from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. It's going to remain at the same location at the Edgeworth Club, but we're aiming to have it outside and a little less formal,
Nice.
right? So just, from what I've gathered over the last 3 years we've done this, that first hour when everyone gets together, it's a little cocktail reception. That seems to be where the magic happens, right? Everyone gets to see each other. We don't always get together in person. Some people are Zooming, some people aren't. It's just, it's that moment where everyone gets to see each other and be in that same room for a little while. And I just want to make this event basically that, right? A little less formal, a little less structured, and a lot more of us just being together and celebrating intergovernmental collaboration, right? A couple of things that we'll definitely continue doing, that seem to really be a hit. Recognizing a borough manager or secretary or an elected official for their service. We've been doing that for the last few years, and that seems to be a big highlight. So definitely want to keep stuff like that. And we'll also probably have a 50-50 to raise some money for local charity. Last year it was Animal Friends. The year before that it was 412 Food Rescue. So we'll definitely have some of the similar facets, but really infuse some new energy and uniqueness to it. Just asking for any volunteers that might want to serve on the committee. I know Roberta in the past has expressed some interest in that, so we'd love to have you, Roberta, if you're interested in that, and anybody else that's interested as well. We'll probably Zoom maybe 1 or 2 times between now and then. But really, it's just help out with. Great. Yeah, just to help recruit sponsors, to help get people signed up for the dinner. I'll do most of the legwork here, but just, it's always helpful to have an extra voice or two reminding, members of your councils or boards or engineering firms that you might work with to register for the event. So.
I can
Sure.
Yes.
feverishly inviting everyone in town.
Anybody else?
Well, the biggest money raiser for us in this is.
Yeah, I think that shouldn't be forgotten. This is definitely a fundraiser for us.
And also, we're not going to have a speaker
Okay.
because, I don't know, I'm talking it over with Patrick, we thought it would be as he said, the first hour was always one of the most important for the process to get to know one another. And this, we'll see how this goes. Type of venue.
Yeah, no slight to any of our speakers. I think all of our past speakers were
Yeah.
great, but it is really hard to find people who want to speak at these events, and especially those that don't want to charge you for it.
Well, the mingling is really useful, I think. And if
I
we
think so.
invite, like, it's all community leaders, so if you invite other community leaders who might be interested in the kinds of things the COG's working on, then, I don't know, it just becomes like an interesting networking event, you know?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And we raising money, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we have Julie, Barbara, and Roberta. Anybody else at all? You know, you're off the commit now, but if you're interested, shoot me an email. Get you.
Well, consider, I'm just trying to think, I think it's a great idea. Do you know that, in my experience, it's limited, you know, not many people from my community come, I'll try to get them there.
Yeah.
But I know that when we do a dinner, it's typically the municipality, city of the municipality people.
Right.
Yeah,
And I do agree that the beginning is impactful for those that are comfortable doing it. They do the art, because a lot of people wouldn't recognize, right? They're from Ben Avenue, they wouldn't know anybody besides me, right? Yeah, so it may be worth having, again, I'm trying to be gimmicky or something at the beginning to help engage people that maybe wouldn't be comfortable engaging, if this is what the whole thing is gonna be. I'm not sure what that looks like, we can think through that, but it may be something that,
Yeah.
I really don't mean a game, but is there some activity or is happening where, let me jump ahead of this, even having community put together something that showed what they did this past year, like CBGB, or we put it together that people can comment. It's something that gets them engaged, or I
Or
don't know,
they
I don't
can
know what it
look
could
at,
be.
so they're not just standing.
Just help the mingling happen.
Yeah. I
Maybe
understand.
before 2 drinks help the mingling happen. I don't know. It's just a thought. I know
Yeah.
it can be intimidating for people who aren't used to
For sure.
You're right.
mingling that. So just.
You're right.
And, you know, we have a little bit of, because we're not spending, you know, the money for the car prime rib station, and we're not having, you know, a little bit of the extras that maybe we've had in the past, we can invest a little bit more of the funds that we spend on this dinner for maybe a nice little name tags. In the past, it's always been, oh, we'll scribble a Sharpie.
Yeah, you can see
Yeah.
something.
Where are we from? Get something a little more formal on that end, because it's like, nothing about this is gonna be all that formal, but we can spend a little bit about name tags and introductory things, something to help break that ice. That we get really good.
Right.
Maybe that may be enough, or like the ribbons that would say, something, or, you know, meat, or
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Just something that makes it, oh, hey, this.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
from-
right. You're right.
You are where you're from. Oh, you're from Swiftly. Why can? Whatever. At least I'm starting a conversation.
Yeah.
I remember being.
Yeah, very, very well.
Good. Anything else? Okay. Moving on to the approval. The 2022 Act 101, Section 904, recycling performance grant.
Yeah, definitely one of the most fun things for me to do, because instead of asking for money, which is, you know, something we usually do, we're giving you money, right? So, so here, you know, you'll see in the report, this is from our 2022 recycling times that we collect. It's always about 18 months behind from when we apply to when we actually get the award. So this is all the recycling material that was collected in 2022. So each town, you get a residential award, and it's a really easy calculation. However much tonnage that you generated, it's multiplied by $5.
This is waste management data.
Waste management data, or whoever your community uses. So in the case of Bell Acres, they use Republic. Swiftly Heights uses a combination of people. The majority use waste management, but yeah, we coordinate with whoever the communities do use, as well as the commercial vendors too. So that the most award is a calculation based on, you know, how much overall tonnage we generate in the region, with a little bit of commercial thrown in there too. So those are those two amounts that you see, and then your total award is added up to the right. So the total award we got was $26,888.34. Again, that was like a 4% increase over year. So we're keeping the trajectory in the right direction. More and more people are recycling. We're seeing that reflected in the grant award. $11,458.49 is directly going back to you guys. And $15,429 is going to the joint recycling fund, which again is paying, the event next month for PRC, that's $9,000. That's a big chunk of that grant, right? That's how we're paying for it. The glass recycling bins. Basically, those two things take up all of that joint recycling fund. That's what it's there for. But yeah, that's the breakdown for it. Assuming we approve this now, I'll get those checks sent out tomorrow. So we'll probably be seeing them positive in your reports in June and July.
So those are the check amounts?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's always nice to get something back, so
Yeah.
soon we can take it. To approve this, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
all those in favor signify by saying aye, or raising your hand.
Aye.
uh,
Yes, it's nice to get money. Any old business? By anybody? Concerns of delegates, do you want to start by roll call?
Sure. All right, so first up, we have Roberta and Avalon. Anything that you wanted to bring to the group? We'll come back. Dan and Bellevue.
Hey everyone, not much really going on right now in Bellevue. Patrick, you touched on Streetscape. Everyone's excited to get that out to bid and see what we get back as far as bids go. So that's the big thing right now. But yeah, that's all for the moment.
Okay, Rick, what's new in Ben Abbey?
I just wanted to comment on, we've had some issues with the mapping systems routing folks through the borough, trucks and things, following Waze and Google, and we've done a little bit of research. I'll share about more information, but we kind of reached the right people, I think, within the state that have some influence on being able to change some of those routes and for waiting and stuff. So I'll send it to Patrick. I don't have names, but different departments of potentially who you can reach out to if that's a concern in your neighborhood. It's not just, no one wants trucks and stuff going through, and we all have ordinances about it. But it's even more so the routes they're taking these trucks and bad, and we have some weird turns they're having them take that they get stuck in things. So I'll forward it on to Patrick to send around. I'll try to make sure it's more than what I think I have already, but at least the departments within the state you can contact to have some input there, because otherwise it's very difficult to have Google or Waze or whoever, but it's the same thing, make any changes as routing. So maybe an option if you have those.
Oh, thank you.
issues.
We had a semi-truck stuck on Sycamore Road and Swiftley, which is a switchback. And the man got halfway down, couldn't get back up. How he got where he was, we have no idea. We had to be towed out in parts. So.
I'll forward it on.
That
was a
number
great
would be
contact, but
great.
it's something.
Yeah,
It's a challenge.
very good. All right, let's see. Abby, what's new in Emsworth?
Nothing terribly crazy going on. If you didn't notice here, unfortunately, our Memorial Day parade was canceled, which was a bit of a bummer. But we had some issues with that from our residents, but it wasn't our call; it was the veterans' call. But that's about the biggest news we have going on is just some disgruntled citizens about the parade. But if that's the biggest news, I'll take it.
Okay, good. All right, Barbara, what's new in Glen Osborne?
Glenn Osborne was very interested in what the city of Pittsburgh is doing in regards to deer fawn. We have a lot of deer. We have a big wooded area. I know Swiftley Heights and a lot of our communities do. Where, not only are they eating things that they should not, we hope they shouldn't eat, but they also are bringing ticks into our neighborhood. And we're finding that residents are affected with Lyme's disease, and so it's bringing a whole new situation into our area. So we're looking at maybe doing something, and we'd have to do it with fellow communities around us, because if you do something in Little Glen Osborne, deer from other communities will need them. But that's something, that is one aspect that is really starting to take a look. We've seen what the city has done, because they've been successful. So we'll see.
Very good. Paul, what's new in Glenfield?
No.
Nice.
Very good. Amanda, anything in Hayesville? All right, Daryl, you're up. Killbuck.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Go ahead.
No, not too much for Hayesville, but we did have, I believe our contract for River Road has finally been executed. And we're still working on that and working on our emergency management plan. And that's about it.
Very good. Daryl, what's new in Killbuck?
Not much. We're working with a landowner who's been dragging mud and dirt onto Route 65 repeatedly. So we've got some court action going to hopefully stop that from happening. It's become a real nuisance, and it's one of our biggest problems. And we're working with hopefully Ben Avon and Ben Avon Heights to do some joint projects for some work at Avon Park and another road that needs to be repaved with Ben Avon Heights. But that's about it.
Awesome. All right, Maria, and Teddy, what's new in Leetsdale?
Yes, 4th of July parade is our flagship summer event. So preparations are underway. Everybody is welcome to come and attend the festivities. Parade is at 2 o'clock, followed by a mini carnival in the park. 2 bands will be playing throughout the afternoon. In the evening, we're going to have Zambelli fireworks, best viewed from the high school property. So for the parade, a couple of newer things that I only just today found out about is that children are welcome to come and participate in the parade with riding decorated bicycles. Bicycles will be decorated in Henley Park at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. Anybody who would like to come is welcome to attend that and then line up in the parade with the children's group. You know, 1:15, I guess 1:30, it's lining up, everybody's lining up in Giant Eagle. But also, if there are any teenagers who are looking for volunteering hours or who would like to simply, you know, have fun on that day, they also welcome to be on the parade and carry balloon poles. Our 4th of July committee members excited about making those. It's basically like a big stick with lots of balloons, and it's really cool. But you're gonna have to be a little taller for this to be visible. So any teenagers in your communities who would like to participate, school kids who are just enjoying the holidays, maybe looking for some volunteer hours through Key Club, please let us know at the Leetsdale Borough. And other than that, Splash Pad is open Thursday through Sunday. But with this really warm weather, look for an announcement that it might be extended on every day of the week in the coming week if this weather continues. So
Nice.
everybody can enjoy this free access to water recreation. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah.
Very good. And I see Teddy from the LGA Municipal Intern Program from the call, so I hope his project's going well. And I'm glad he was in this meeting. It was a good, pretty comprehensive meeting for him to see what COGs do in local government. All right, last but not least, Julie, what's new in Swiftly?
Nothing that I can remember. I was on vacation, so I have just been like tuned out for a while. But I think we're just plugging away at all of our grants. I mean, you know, we're just have projects galore.
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and thank you for coming.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Stay cool out there, and we'll see you in July.
I don't see you later.
All right,
Bye.
see ya.